Michael Reade on LMFM.
Now let's say good morning to Fiona Looney. Fiona will be known to you for many reasons. Indeed, she's famous for many reasons. But today we're introducing her as World Vision Ireland Ambassador. Good morning to you, Fiona, and thank you indeed for joining us.
Good morning, Michael.
Good to talk to you. Tell us a little bit about your work with World Vision. In fact, maybe you tell us about the Cófra project, which has come about because of a child that you sponsor in Uganda and indeed your visit there. Yeah,
so basically I've been sponsoring children in Africa through World Vision Ireland for about 20 years. And last year, because they're very nice people, they brought me over to meet my sponsored child. And like that was an amazing experience, and a lovely little 8-year-old boy. He's 9 now. He's probably taller than me. He was on a fine stretch. But one of the things that we did when we were over there was we went into a couple of schools in the area. These are World Vision Ireland supported schools. And, I went from obviously a very sheltered, ordinary Dublin background and came into, first of all, Africa, which I'd never been to before. And, meeting John, the child, and his family. And it was all wonderfully positive experiences. You could see what was possible with very little, and like how people used what little they had to maximise their lifestyles, but they are very poor. But when I went into the schools, I genuinely was horrified. There's no other way to describe it.
Why so?
You walk in. Well, the first one I went into, they're all very similar. I mean, the kids are just gorgeous. They have the most beautiful, vivid school uniforms. They have these kind of, flaming pink and orange and just gorgeous stuff. And they're really welcoming, and they've all these, they meet you outside, and they have dances of welcome and songs and all this. But when you walk into the classroom, the first classroom I walked into, I looked around and my first thought was, people would think twice about housing livestock in a room like this in Ireland. You're talking about, sheds, basically, concrete sheds, block sheds, no glass in the windows, no doors in the doorways. I mean, the very fact that they don't have doors tells you there's nothing to steal there. They've broken furniture, bare walls. And I think for me, the biggest shock, as well as the state of the room, was the sheer number of children in it.
Right.
So they're all there smiling and clapping and singing their song, welcome. How many kids are in this room? So I asked the teacher in the first room, and she told me there were 200 children in that class.
Right.
Like 200 children.
Okay.
I mean, we complain about the pupil-teacher ratio here. And 200 children and one teacher.
Yeah.
So
I remember being in primary school with 44 or 45 children in a class, and it was just mayhem. How can any teacher control 200 children?
Absolutely. And that's so, I kind of came away from the first school being kind of, very sort of depressed by the experience, because realistically, we are, like, as individuals and even as a collective in Ireland, we can't go and say, let's build more schools, let's hire more teachers. You just can't, because you're dealing with foreign governments. There's an awful lot of red tape. And also, it would cost massive amounts of money. But when I went into the second one, I was used to the experience. And then I looked around and I thought, okay, I know what's missing here. Now, listen, there's a lot missing there. But one of the things that really occurred to me was they didn't have resource material. So, some of them have pictures on the wall, but they're kind of, they've been made by the teachers. But if you think back to the classrooms that, that you and I would have been in as children, that this generation's children, go to now, and you think of those sort of like laminated flashcards that were always on the wall with the alphabet, or, in our case, it would have been obviously, half English, half Irish or whatever. And then we all had a Cófra. I'm sure you had one as well, Michael. The stationery press in every classroom, which had all the resource materials. Like in our case, it was Mala, which is not something that even exists anymore, as far as I know.
Okay.
But full of paints and all these shared art materials, workbooks, worksheets, shared textbooks that you'd have one between two. They have kind of one textbook between 6 or 7 kids over there, and they're in an autistic. And I kind of thought it wouldn't be a massive financial outlay to try and put in a Cófra, a kind of equivalent into these classrooms. And by doing that, the kids learn really well when they use their hands, because if they think they're playing, they don't realise they're learning, and like you'll see now every primary school in the classroom, the first half an hour of every school day is given over to playing with with the equipment that's in the Cófra, be it kind of magnets or whatever it is. So that's where the Cófra project was born.
Very good. And is the idea to bring a Cófra, these basic work tools, to classrooms then across Africa?
Well, what we really want to do is provide these materials in the World Vision Ireland supported schools, which are in Uganda and Tanzania. But like from small acorns, mighty oaks grow. So like it is possible. If we can get these sort of resources into classrooms in these areas, other areas can look, other charities, other NGOs can look, possibly we can start something that could spread beyond. We are really focusing on the schools that are World Vision supported. We've set what we think are really low budgets, because we would love schools in Ireland get involved in this, have a cake sale, have a movie night, have a jersey day or a funny hat day or whatever. But to get kids involved, because I know when my own kids, one of the reasons I started child sponsorship was it's a great way of, when your kids are going, I want, life's not fair, why can't I have?
You're saying, look at John.
Yeah, absolutely. And to make them aware of kids their age who are going to schools, as they are, but in such a radically different and, under-resourced environment. So we're sort of encouraging people, we're not shooting for the stars here. We're talking about, €1,000 we can kit out a classroom. €8,000 we can fully kit out 3 classrooms, but all points in between, all points lower, I'm not saying please donate a grand, donate 10 quid and we'll get there. So it's really just to encourage that, but also, just to kind of, I suppose everyone remembers, and I hadn't thought about my own Cófra, for a long time, but, that lovely cabinet of possibilities that you're dying to get your hands on every day as a child, obviously in secondary school, ours were mainly used for locking other children in and then pushing them out into the corridor to get them into trouble,
Well, I'd expect no less from Fiona, Looney, yes. Okay, right. Well, what made you decide to go to Uganda, though?
Well, that's where my sponsored child was.
Yeah, but you just were curious then because you were sponsoring this child over a period of time.
So with child sponsorship, it's not just kind of, sign the direct debit. You get letters from the child, you get school reports, and you get photographs. So you do kind of feel you know the child. Yeah. And then when World Vision, asked me if I wanted to go out to meet John, obviously I jumped at the chance to go out there. And it was an extraordinary, it's a beautiful country, first of all, but an extraordinary experience to see. Because I was, to be honest, and again, this kind of comes back to what we're doing here. I was kind of going, am I a bit of a fraud out here? I literally give €25 a month. It's kind of like I barely kind of, I certainly don't break sweat doing it. And I was kind of going, I'm not Mother Teresa. I don't know the kind of, I'm not sure that I'm making a difference. But when you go out there, you realise, they were so grateful to me. I mean, mortifying in a way, but...
A rude awakening by the sounds of it, Fiona, and a realisation of how so little can spread so far for a small amount of money, as you say.
Yes, the power, the power of one. I was really, really taken by the power of one. I kept saying to them out there, I do nothing. And they were showing me various projects. They're going, this is not nothing, and you realise, I'm just one person, obviously, giving them €25 a month. But all the other people who do that, it does actually turn into something very tangible. And that's what we're trying to do with this.
Well, it's a fantastic thing. I suppose we sit here talking about the world's problems every day, helpless to some degree, sitting on our hands in part, but here's a chance to do something if people do wish to help with the Cófra project. They can donate through worldvision.ie, I think is...
it's worldvision.ie/Cófra. But if you go to the World Vision website, you'll see it there. And you can either, as a group, you can commit to doing a cake sale or whatever within a school, but also obviously individual donations. We're not turning anyone away on this.
Well, I hope it raises an awful lot of money. Congratulations on that work that you're doing, Fiona. Always nice to talk to you, and thank you for joining us today. That is Fiona Looney, who is World Vision Ireland Ambassador.
Michael Reade on LMFM.